Good evening, good evening, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It is your Realtor Hugo here with another live. As always, thank you so much for tuning in to the Daily Real Estate Live. I am Hugo Quintanilla, your humble host, here to help you another day to learn a little bit more about real estate and how it can influence you and those around you. I am Hugo Quintanilla, a licensed realtor in Maryland with Long and Foster. Please feel free and reach out. 240-389-4846 is the phone number. Hugo at lnf.com is the email, and your realtor Hugo.com is the website. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you again for all the love and support, all the kind words. Sometimes I don't see the messages that you all leave. And it's a shame. I'm sorry if this is blown out for you guys on Instagram. Let me fix this real quick. I didn't realize I was here. Hello. Um, I do appreciate all of it. Really, thank you. To anyone that does leave a comment and I get to reply to, I do try to take them into consideration. There is some stuff that we have been working on in the background. For example, there was this very good question about the consequences of solar panels and solar energy, which I thought was a little provocative, but the more I dug into it, there's some solid argument behind it. So, we are going to dive into things like that over time. I'm sorry that I can't get to it as soon as you would like, um, since there is kind of a lesson plan in place already. But we will sprinkle these things in as I can get to them. So, again, thank you so much for the suggestions and for bringing topics like that up to my attention because, you know, we're always willing to learn here. And more than anything, this is a learning experience, not just for me, but also for you. So thank you again for all the love and support on the other mental health check ins as well. Those have been a little bit difficult to put out just because of the subject matter, especially overcoming some of the more difficult topics of loss and loneliness. But we will persevere. So feel free and reach out on those topics as well. But enough about that. Let's go ahead and continue with today's lesson. We're going to be navigating your first home purchase 10 essential tips for first time home buyers. This is just basically a real quick rundown of some of the more important things to remember in the first time home buyer process. Number one, get pre approved for a mortgage. Start by getting pre approved for a mortgage to understand how much house you can afford. This helps in setting a realistic budget. More than anything else, we don't want to waste your time, we don't want to waste your money, and we want to have all the cards out on the table. If you need to work on your credit, we can do that at this point. If you need to know where you need to improve, what needs to be paid down, possibly what area of life you need to focus on more for the future, this would be a great stage of the game. And finding a lender that you trust, know, and can confide in is, again, crucial to your success. If you're earning, for example, $70,000 a year, you might get a pre-approval for $250,000 mortgage. Might. And I stress that because, again, your mortgage is obviously dependent on whether or not you had debt, are stuck with it, and you know what steps you take to liquidate it as fast as possible. Give me 1 second. I need to open up a door. I will be right back. We are actually okay. Thank you guys. Number two, create a must have list. List the features you want in a home: number of bedrooms, backyard, proximity to work, what it is exactly that you're looking for. I need a three-bedroom house with a large kitchen and a backyard for my dog or for my cat, whichever is your preference. But more than anything, we need to develop a must have and a would like to have list, because at this point, budget and what we can get is going to be the name of the game. Once we get pre-approved, we'll know how much house we can afford, and then we'll have to really see how much house we can realistically afford in the areas that we want to live. And that could all be relative to where it really is most important for us to be. Do we need to be closest to home? Or do we need to be closest to schools? Do we need to be closest to security? Do we need to be closest to um, nothing? Actually, sometimes the goal is to be further away from people. So, what's the goal here? Are we trying to accomplish? Number three, research neighborhoods. And this will, again, looking, soul searching in this area will have you looking at neighborhoods. Investigate the different neighborhoods in Gaithersburg and Rockville to find the best fit for your lifestyle. If you love shopping, for example, or dining out, look for homes near downtown Crown or, you know, Rockville Town Center. You might want areas that are a little bit more populated, that have something a little bit more active, like Pike and Rose, new developments. And really, it just varies on how much you want to spend, because obviously you could get a lot of home out in the country. But do you want to do that commute? And the prices in the city obviously are higher. Do you want to make that sacrifice? And these are all things you have to take into consideration. Now, if you have an unlimited bankroll, if you're working with more cash than um, anything else, obviously these are not things that really impact your decision. You buy where you want to and you do what you like. But it just because you have the money doesn't mean that you should make unsavvy decisions with it. You should try to save as much money as possible, because you never know, when a rainy day might happen. Number four, hire a real estate agent, a real estate professional. An experienced real estate agent can guide you through the buying process, from house hunting to closing the deal. And that's really what a real estate professional should be able to do for you, from contract to close, being able to help you through the process, navigate it all, and give you realistic expectations of what's going to happen, because many people only do it once in their lives, and if we do it successfully, we'll do it more. But many people find it a lot just to do it for one. So keep that in mind. Number five, attend open houses. Go to open houses to get a feel for what's available in your price range and to see homes in person. Take notes on what you like and don't, and list out each home to help narrow down your choices. Also, you could interview real estate agents around this stage. You could talk to different professionals and different companies and see what they offer, what will be their services towards you. Have them explain what they do. Number six, make a strong offer. When you find the right home, make a competitive offer based on market value and recent sales in the area. Who's going to give you that information? It's going to be a realtor or a real estate professional. If similar homes sold for 300,000, offer something close to that to stand out. And we're not necessarily saying that you have to, purchase at list price. Sometimes the properties don't go for that much. But lowballing, and we all know what lowballing is. And if, for those that don't, and not because, in a sense, but probably you just don't know the term. Lowballing is when you don't offer. What's the nicest way I can say this? Lowballing is when you offer probably the lowest conceivable amount of money possible for a property, almost to the point where it's insulting. Sometimes a lowball offer can be insulting, and that's where it kind of passes a point of like, okay, this is a realistic offer, or like this is an offer that makes sense, or like this is an offer that like, okay, we can work with this, versus like a low ball offer that's mm, you're pitching for the for the tombstones at that point. All right, where are we? Number 7. Get a home inspection. We actually just had inspect home inspections come through the office meeting today. Very great company, Insight, excuse me, Insight Home Inspections. They are very competitive, very quick, very trustworthy, have tons of professionals in the area. Definitely check them out for your next inspection. You can probably find them on my website, yourrealtorhugo.com. I'm pretty sure it's right there at the bottom. And if not, you can find it on the longfoster.com website as well, where I'm sure they'll have a link. I believe, let me pull up the actual URL. Yeah, it's going to be insightinspections.com would be the best place right there to schedule. You can find an agent there, you can find the teams there, and learn more about their services. Highly recommended. So feel free and check them out. But going back to what we were talking about, where were we? Getting a home inspection is always the easiest way to identify a problem with a property before you finalize the purchase. It can get you out of a jam. It can really highlight what is wrong with the property before anything is committed. You got to be smart about the money that you invest in these properties, and you got to be smart about what money you put on the table. So if you have this contingency, you could really save yourself a lot of headache, and save yourself the potential risk of losing a earnest money deposit, which is money that you put in the middle of a transaction between two parties to show seriousness in the transaction. Typically, that money is jeopardized if one party breaks the contract, and typically it's more favorable towards the seller than it is towards the buyer in most cases. But, there are rules of engagement when it comes to contracts, and we'll talk about that another day. Number 8. Understanding closing costs. Be prepared for closing costs, which can be 2 to 5% of the purchase price, covering fees like appraisals, title insurance, and attorney fees. Also, some of this money may go into your home inspection, so keep that in mind. It might not all just be for these end of transaction items. They could be money here that needs to be just had on the side to be prepared for all these other expenses, because you have to have money for a home inspection. No one does a home inspection for free. Well, few companies do. um, for example, a $300,000 home, I expect to pay about 6,000 to 15,000 in closing costs, depending on the situation and depending on your mortgage as well and how much paperwork there is. So make sure that you're consulting with the professionals that you're working with to find out the exact amount. And something that's kind of odd, but it kind of makes sense in retrospect, is the closing costs get more and more specific as you get closer to the actual closing. So, as the final numbers are coming through, please make sure that you're reviewing the statements and the ultas and all these things to um, make sure that the money is going the right way. Sometimes they're just clerical mistakes. Sometimes they're just really things that are easy to avoid mistakes, like a first time homebuyer credit. That's a very popular one. When it's not anybody's fault, it's just an easy mistake to make. It's one check mark on the contract. If it's not checked, it's not going to be applied. And sometimes it's checked and it's still not applied. So, human error, stuff happens. You got to grow and move forward and adapt. Now, um, you have to have this money on the side. That's another thing too. So be prepared to have this as part of your cost of purchasing the home. And remember, like I said yesterday, your expected costs of closing on a property are going to be your security deposit, which is your earnest money deposit, and your down payment for your loan. Your earnest money deposit is usually 1% to 3% of the purchase price, and your down payment is whatever you decide with your lender, anywhere from 3 to what, 50, 60%, but anywhere typically from 3 to 20% is most people. Really, you can put down as much as you want. It's just, if you put down more, you have a smaller loan. And then at the end of the road, you need your closing costs. That's going to be anywhere from 2 to 5%. So one plus three, for example, plus two, that's going to be four. That's going to be 6% of the purchase price that you're going to need to have aside, at minimum, for the purchase of a property. So every 100,000, how much is that? 6,000. Okay. All right. Let's wrap this up because we still have to do the other live as well. Um, Review the contract carefully, read the purchase contract thoroughly, and ask your agent to explain any terms that you don't understand. Remember, this is a huge contract and it's binding. It is typically the last time that you will see this document, because most people don't go back and look at their contracts. They take it as this, it was this one monumental moment, and that's it. So it happens, life happens, you got to keep moving, you got to actually go back to work to go pay for this house. So it makes sense that you're not going to be spilling over the contract. So do yourself a favor, ask the questions while the iron is hot, and make sure that you are communicating with your realtor, hey, about this doubt or that doubt, because that's what they're there for. That's what we are committed to helping you do, is go through the process of the transaction and help you along the way to understand it fully and completely. Number 10, plan for moving day. Once everything is finalized, plan for your move efficiently, and to avoid stress, excuse me. Plan your move efficiently to avoid stress. Scheduling movers in advance, number one, and packing a system together with labeled boxes is, again, another great way to save yourself a lot of headache when you're going from one place to another. Now, the sooner that you find out when you're closing on a property, when that's finalized, please order that moving company, because more than anything, that's going to be your biggest expense and probably the thing that you need the most help with. I know family is great. I know siblings are probably better, but at the end of the day, you got to make sure that the stuff gets on the truck safely and gets from point A to point B. So if that's going to take people helping you out that are third parties, then by all means, I think you should save that money and invest in that, because sometimes spending a little bit more on the convenience is worth the peace of mind. I'll tell you that much. All right. If you are just joining us today, we were talking about navigating your first home purchase, 10 essential tips for first time home buyers. Just kind of a general 1, 2, 3 on what we got going on when it comes to purchasing a house as a first time home buyer in Maryland. Number one was get pre approved for a mortgage. Number two was create a must have list. And number three was research neighborhoods. Number four is hire a real estate agent or realtor. Number five is attend open houses. Number six, make a strong offer. Number seven, get a home inspection. Number eight, understand closing costs. Number nine, review contracts carefully. And number 10, plan for moving day. So, again, ladies and gentlemen, thank you all for your love and support as we are facing these trying times. But do not, do not, do not, do not, don't get sad about it. It's going to be okay. And from here on out, if you have any questions, please feel free and reach out. My phone number is 240-389-4846. Please reach out directly. I think when people go through third parties, it kind of gets a little muddied. So feel free. I always pick up my phone, 240-389-4846. Hugo at lnf.com is my email, and your realtor Hugo.com is the website. So ladies and gentlemen, I will see you in a few minutes. I'm going to grab some water. We will talk about another topic for the mental health check-in, and that'll be that for today. Again, thank you. I will see you all in a few minutes. Take care.